So far, this matchup has been nothing but mayhem. This is Money in the Bank, and Bryan Adams now trying to pull down that briefcase by himself. Lamar James Jackson now trying to throw Bryan Adams outside the ring. Oh my God, Bryan Adams sent from the top of the ladder all the way to the outside. Just missing then steel steps, and how in the hell is Bryan Adams up? Bryan Adams showing his toughness in this matchup. Tendency's trying to jump inside the ring, and now Bryan Adams with a back suplex on Tony Sparks. Tommy Douglas still outside the ring. Richard Hawkins suplexing Lamar James Jackson back inside the ring. And now Tendency's throwing Hawkins into the turnbuckle. And now Tendency's looking to set up for something big here. Looking for a superplex. Oh my God, Richard Hawkins could be landing on that ladder, and oh, Tendency's turns him away from it. Tendency's may have just saved the career of Richard Hawkins, and what a knee there. And Lamar James Jackson ducking Douglas, and a German suplex. Oh my God, another shot with that sledgehammer on the outside of the ring there by Bryan Adams. And this is the most extreme Money in the Bank ladder matchup I think anyone has ever seen in the history of car wrestling. And what a Russian leg sweep there by Tendencies. And now Jackson with that ladder in hand. And now Bryan Adams now trying to finish Lamar James Jackson off. Said so many agendas in this matchup. Everyone has one goal, and that's to become Mr. Money in the Bank. And Bryan Adams, the most improved superstar in the MPWF. Richard Hawkins, also one of the best superstars in the MPWF. Tommy Douglas, so much potential. Tony Sparks, a ton of potential. Lamar James Jackson looking for that just one more match that could set him atop from everyone else. And that could be this match tonight. Another clummy blow there by Tommy Douglas. And Tommy Douglas now fighting out against Jackson and Tony Sparks. And now Bryan Adams picking up that ladder. And you see, you would think that the one with the advantage in this matchup would be Tony Sparks. He is small and nimble enough that he can climb up that ladder. But it seems to be that the stronger men, Bryan Adams and Lamar James Jackson, able to withstand the damage in this matchup, is proving to show that they are the favorites to win this. And now Richard Hawkins got Bryan Adams in the corner, now setting up for a superplex, and oh my God, a superplex sending Bryan Adams through the ladder. And Bryan Adams though getting up, and now with a net breaker on Tendencies. And Tendencies now able to escape. And oh, what a shot with a ladder there by Lamar James Jackson. And now Jackson with another shot with a ladder taking out Richard Hawkins. And oh, what a shot with a sledgehammer there. There's no love lost for Tommy Douglas and Tendencies whatsoever. Now Richard Hawkins picking up that ladder, and now setting it up underneath the briefcase here. Now Richard Hawkins now trying to climb up that ladder, and so is Lamar James Jackson. And Bryan Adams inside the ring now trying to knock it over. And oh my God, Lamar James Jackson going for a superplex off that ladder, and Richard Hawkins went from the top of the ladder to the bottom of the floor. And now Lamar James Jackson has that sledgehammer, and Richard Hawkins has been Tommy Douglas has been knocked off the ladder. And now I think Lamar James Jackson has been busted wide open. And now Tommy Douglas now setting that ladder up underneath the briefcase. And what a shot there by Douglas. Suplex by Tendencies. And look at these guys fighting back here. Now what a net breaker takeover there by Richard Hawkins. And Hawkins now kicking away at Tommy Douglas, just stomping at him. So Richard Hawkins and Tommy Douglas in recent weeks have proven that they can work well as a tag team. But tonight is about Money in the Bank and not about tag team situation. That will be for later on tonight when the SB Tag Team titles are on the line, and the Natural Disasters defend their titles against Apollo and Antonio Goldman. And now Richard Hawkins has got him set up in that high elevated Boston Crab, and Bryan Adams thrown into them breaks up the submission. And now Jackson ran into that ladder, and it looks like it hurt both the knees of him and Hawkins. And now a net breaker there by Bryan Adams. And now Tendency's now trying to finish Adams off. Now got him up here, and a reverse queen suplex there or a reverse I don't even know what you want to call it, whatever. Anyways, Richard Hawkins in trouble here, is able to duck Tendencies, but Tendencies wasn't able to duck that shot with the ladder. Now Bryan Adams sending that ladder back up again, and Jackson moving out the way. And now, big time Irish right there by Bryan Adams, now this time sending Richard Hawkins back to the outside of the ring. And now a bulldog there by Bryan Adams, taking down Douglas. Bryan Adams is starting to look a lot stronger in this matchup. And now Lamar James Jackson, LJ squared, climbing up that ladder, looking to get that briefcase. And missing the first time. And now grabbing onto the briefcase, but Tendency's now throwing Jackson off the ladder, and he lands on the rope. And now Tommy Douglas in trouble as Tendencies has him up now. Set him for another suplex again. And now suplexing Tommy Douglas. Knees first into the ladder. Could have dislocated a kneecap there or something. And Brian Adams trying to get up that ladder now. And oh wait, Tennessee setting up for a spear, and Tennessee's with a spear to Douglas. And what a DDT there by Tony Sparks. Brian Adams heading up to the top of that ladder now, trying to bring down that briefcase, and accidentally moves the briefcase out the way. And Tennessee's now throwing Brian Adams off the ladder, and Brian Adams out to the outside of the ring. You know, Tennessee's now trying to bring down that briefcase, and Lamar James Jackson with the Shelton Benjamin off the ladder, taking out Tennessee's. And now Douglas in trouble now as he's being thrown vivaciously first into the turnbuckle. Now Sparks now looking for a back suplex. I know switches it into a high elevated atomic drop. Brian Adams now picking up that ladder, and somehow Tommy Douglas is fighting back out. Brian Adams heading back in the ring in style there. Richard Hawkins has been in trouble from very early on in this matchup. As you can see him now lying out on that ladder. I mean, these men have taken quite a bit in this matchup so far. Brian Adams was suplexed through the ladder. Tendencies and Lamar James Jackson have taken multiple falls off that ladder. I mean, Tommy Douglas's knees should be broken right now. And Tony Sparks in the middle of the ring, running around with a sledgehammer. So this is just nothing but pandemonium in this matchup. But it's all for the opportunity to be Mr. Money in the Bank. And now Tennessee's now trying to grab the briefcase here. And now Tennessee's with a missile drop kick and takes Lamar James Jackson off the ladder. Tennessee's having no give there for his body. Trying to take Lamar James Jackson out. Now Brian Adams now trying to grab the briefcase here. Now Brian Adams now decided to think better of it as Jackson climbs up the other side of the ladder. And oh, Jackson there with a right hand. And oh, what an elbow there by Brian Adams. Now Brian Adams trying to fight back. And oh, Lamar James Jackson throws Brian Adams off the top of the ladder with an overhead back body drop. Now Richard Hawkins there with the steel steps, and Douglas knocks him out of his hands. And now, oh, Hawkins there with a net breaker. Now Tennessee's picks up the ladder this time. Now Tennessee's now setting out that ladder in a weird position underneath the briefcase. Adams is out on the floor, and Richard Hawkins now trying to run up that ladder, and Tommy Douglas with a suplex. Now you can see Tennessee's now moving towards Brian Adams. Brian Adams though fights back with a clummy blow to the back of Tennessee's head. Now with a taking him down with a bulldog, and Richard Hawkins now taking out Tommy Douglas. Now net breaker there by Douglas, and now Brian Adams out with a ladder into the leg of Lamar James Jackson. So many injuries will come from this matchup. Now Adams now heading up to the top of that ladder, and Brian Adams now trying to pull down that briefcase. And Brian Adams now could become Mr. Money in the Bank here. I know Tommy Douglas shaking the briefcase, and Brian Adams able to escape outside the ring, and now runs into a bad body drop by Tendencies. And now, oh, Lamar James Jackson not even sure what he did to Sparks. All I know is he took him down. And Tennessee's looks to be frustrated at Brian Adams now. And now Tennessee setting up for something here on the outside of the ring. And oh, what a move there by Tennessee's. And now Jackson dodging Hawkins. And now Douglas and Richard Hawkins now jousting in the ring with ladders. And again, Tennessee's is just continuously beating the hell out of Adams on the outside of the ring. And you can see Douglas and Sparks now beating the hell out of each other on top of that ladder. These guys 15 feet in the air. And now Tony Sparks now looking to throw Tommy Douglas off the ladder, and Tommy Douglas lands on the ladder on the ground, and so does Tony Sparks. That sick bastard Tendencies knocking both men off the ladder. Could have injured them seriously. And now Tendencies now trying to head up top of that ladder, along with Richard Hawkins. Lamar James Jackson just knees the crap out of Brian Adams. And now Tennessee's with a swinging net breaker off the ladder, taking out himself and Richard Hawkins. And now, oh, Lamar James Jackson has got Tony Sparks in a position where the sun don't shine. And now Tommy Douglas and Tennessee's on top of that ladder. And now Tennessee's looking to throw Douglas off the ladder again. And now Tennessee's trying to pull down the briefcase. And now Jackson now ready to throw Tennessee's off, and Tennessee's lands on his spine. Not his legs, not his hands, but his spine. And now Brian Adams setting up that ladder once more. And now Douglas now throwing Brian Adams right into the ladder and out into the turnbuckle. And now Jackson trying to knee Douglas. And Tennessee's now with Tony Sparks. Now Tennessee's now going for a suplex and connects there. And now you can see, oh, Tommy Douglas and Brian Adams bunch up in the corner. Richard Hawkins is beating the living crap out of Lamar James Jackson. and continuing so, and Tendencies is climbing up the ladder, trying to get that briefcase, and Tony Sparks trying to stop him, and Tendencies pulls down the Money in the Bank briefcase. Well, this match was nothing but clusterfuck pandemonium, and you can see through the replays here of all the action that took place that went down in this Money in the Bank ladder matchup. There was double teams, ladder shots, sledgehammer shots, steel chair shots. I mean, everything you can think of. This was the most extreme Money in the Bank ladder matchup you will ever see. It was a war. Everyone got a touch on that briefcase. Everyone became so close, but when it's all said and done, Tendencies has won Money in the Bank. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Tendencies is the first man in history to become a champion and Money in the Bank winner at the same time. The hardcore champion, now Money in the Bank, can cash in that briefcase whenever he chooses. The question is, when will Tendencies choose to cash it in? How will he choose to cash it in? Well, that's up to us to find out.